What's good, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Adam. And today we're diving deep into the trade that's got the whole NBA buzzing. Karl Anthony-Towns is heading to the Big Apple. To break down this blockbuster move, I've got our resident Knicks expert, Ryan, in the house. Ryan, thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Adam. This trade's got me shook in the best way possible.
No doubt. Let's start with the big picture. Ryan, how does this trade fit into the current NBA landscape?
Well, Adam, it's fascinating to examine this move in the context of recent NBA trends. The league's been all about that offensive firepower lately, and the Knicks are clearly saying we're all in on this wave.
Can you break that down for our listeners? How has the league evolved?
No doubt. So rewind to the early 2000s. Defense was king, right? Teams like the Pistons were locking it down and winning chips. But now, it's all about getting buckets, my friend. In the last decade or so, almost every championship team has had a top 5 offense. We're talking elite scoring machines. The exceptions? Teams led by GOATs like LeBron or Steph. The Knicks adding Cat to their already solid offense, that's like upgrading from a sports car to a rocket ship.
Interesting. But defense still matters, right? We're not just playing NBA 2K out here.
You're absolutely right, Adam. Defense is still crucial. It's not like teams are just letting opponents score at will, but it's like defense has become the supporting actor while offense is the headliner. Look at the Nuggets the year they won the title. Their defense was middle of the pack in the regular season, but their offense in the playoffs? Historic. They rode that wave all the way to the championship.
And you think the Knicks are trying to replicate that blueprint with this Cat trade?
100% Adam. The Knicks offense was already solid, but adding Towns elevates it to a potentially elite status. They're betting that in today's NBA, an overwhelming offense can overcome some defensive shortcomings. It's a calculated risk, but one that aligns with the current NBA landscape, if you will.
That makes sense. Now let's talk about the timing. Why make this move now before the season starts? Couldn't they have waited to see how the team gelled?
Great question, Adam. The Knicks front office played this very strategically. By making the trade now, they took advantage of the offseason's expanded roster limits. This allowed them to make the salary matching work without gutting their roster. It's some 4D chess moves for real.
Can you elaborate on that? How does the timing affect the trade mechanics? Break it down for the people.
Definitely. During the offseason, teams can carry up to 21 players, which provides much more flexibility for salary matching and trades. The Knicks used this to their advantage, including some minimum contract players to make the numbers work. Once the season starts, rosters are capped at 15 players, making these big trades much more complicated to execute. If they had waited, they might have had to include more key rotation players or even multiple draft picks to make it work.
Sounds like the front office was on point with this one. Now let's talk on-court strategy. What does this mean for the Knicks' playing style? Does this signal the end of their small ball experiments?
Not necessarily, Adam. In fact, Cat might be the ultimate small ball cheat code. He provides guard-like skills and a 7-foot frame. It's really the best of both worlds, no doubt.
How so? Can you break that down for us?
Definitely. Towns is a unicorn in the truest sense of the word. He's a 7-footer with guard-like shooting skills. He can space the floor like a wing player, which opens up driving lanes for guys like Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges. But at the same time, he's big enough to protect the rim and rebound at a high level. In a way, he allows the Knicks to play small on offense, while still having size on defense. It's like having your cake and eating it too, a rare combination that could be really potent in today's NBA.
That's intriguing, but this trade did cost the Knicks some depth. How concerned should fans be about that? Are we too thin now?
It's definitely something to keep an eye on, Adam. Losing Randall and DiVincenzo thins out the rotation a bit. The Knicks went from being one of the deepest teams in the league to having some question marks, especially in the backcourt. However, it's not all doom and gloom. They still have solid pieces like Precious Achiuwa, who can fill in minutes at the 4 or 5. Cameron Payne, while not a flashy name, has playoff experience and can provide some guard depth. The big question now is whether they'll make another move to shore up their wing depth. They might need to add another 3-and-deep type player to really round out the rotation.
Do you think they might move Mitchell Robinson to address that need? He seems a bit redundant with Cat now, right?
It's possible, Adam. Robinson is a great defensive center, but with Towns now in the fold, there might be some redundancy. Trading him could provide more roster flexibility and potentially bring in that wing player they need, but it's a delicate balance. Moving Robinson would leave them thin at center if Towns were to miss any time with injury. It's a tough decision the front office will have to weigh carefully.
Sounds like a classic risk versus reward scenario. Now let's talk about Julius Randall. How do you think this trade affects his future? Is he gonna ball out in Minnesota?
Well, Adam, this trade certainly complicates things for Randall. He's now on a team that might not be the best fit for his skills, and his next contract could be affected. It's a tricky situation, no doubt. On one hand, Randall is a very talented player who could potentially thrive in a new environment. On the other hand, the Wolves already have a lot of money tied up in other players, and Randall's style of play might not mesh perfectly with their current core. It wouldn't be surprising to see him moved again before the season's over. The Wolves might look to flip him to a team that's a better fit and can offer assets that align more with their timeline.
Wow, that would be wild. Going from face of the franchise to potentially playing for 3 teams in 1 year. Now let's zoom out and look at the big picture for Cat. What does this trade mean for his career? Is this his make or break moment?
This is absolutely a pivotal moment for Towns, Adam. He's been a great individual player throughout his career, but hasn't had much team success. If he can help lead the Knicks to a title, it can completely change his legacy.
And if things don't go well? What's the worst case scenario here?
Well, that's the risk, isn't it? If things go poorly in New York, it could cement a reputation as a stats-first player who doesn't contribute to winning. The New York market is unforgiving, and the pressure will be immense. It's a high-risk, high-reward situation for Cat.
It seems like there's a lot at stake for Towns. Can you put his career in context for our listeners? Give us the Cat story so far.
Absolutely. Towns came into the league with enormous expectations. He was the first overall pick in 2015 and was seen as a potential franchise-changing talent. Early in his career, he put up impressive numbers and made multiple All-Star teams. But team success has eluded him. In 8 seasons with the Timberwolves, he only made the playoffs 3 times and won just 2 playoff series. And in those playoff runs, he wasn't necessarily the best player on the team.
So this is his chance to change that narrative? To prove he can be the guy on a championship team?
Exactly. This is Towns' opportunity to prove he can be a main cog on a championship contending team. If he could do that in New York, of all places, it would be a massive boost to his legacy.
It's interesting to think about legacies. How do you think Towns' career might be remembered if he has success in New York? Are we talking potential Hall of Fame?
It's not out of the question, Adam. If Towns can make another All-Star team or 2 and be one of the top players on a Knicks team that ends the franchise's long championship drought, he could potentially work his way into Hall of Fame conversations. It's not a perfect comparison, and he didn't win a championship with the Knicks either, but I liken this to when Latrell Sprewell came to the Knicks in '99. He came in after the incident with PJ Carlesimo with a stained reputation, but elevated his career in New York and led that team to an improbable NBA Finals run. Spree is still considered one of the greats in New York and is one of my all-time favorite players.
That's a fascinating comparison. Any final thoughts on this trade, Ryan? What's your overall take?
Just that this is a bold move by the Knicks, Adam. They're clearly swinging for the fences. This trade represents a big shift in philosophy. They're prioritizing offensive firepower over depth and defensive versatility. It's a risk, no doubt, but in today's NBA, you need to take risks to win championships. Whether it pays off or not, you have to admire the ambition. It's going to be an exciting season in New York, that's for sure.
Absolutely. It's an exciting time to be a Knicks fan, that's for sure. Before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap for our listeners. What are the key takeaways from this trade?
No doubt, Adam. Here are the main points. 1. The Knicks are betting big on offense being the key to championship success in the modern NBA. 2. The timing of the trade before the season started allowed the Knicks to maximize value while minimizing costs. 3. Towns gives the Knicks the benefits of small ball while added size and versatility. 4. The trade does create some depth concerns that the Knicks may need to address. 5. This is a pivotal moment for Karl Anthony-Towns' career that could define his legacy. And 6. The trade represents a bold, ambitious move by the Knicks front office to push for championship contention.
Excellent summary, Ryan. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Any last words for our listeners?
Just that this trade has made the Knicks one of the most intriguing teams to watch this season. Whether you're excited or skeptical about the move, there's no denying it's going to be a fascinating season in New York. Keep that same energy all season, support the squad, and let's hope that this trade brings us closer to that chip we've been waiting for.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us, Ryan, and thanks to all our listeners. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below if you enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week with more in-depth Knicks analysis. Until next time, this is Adam signing off. Let's go Knicks.